Welcome back, Grind Force Gamers, to another exciting tier list video. Here we're going to be talking about the Divination units, and a lot of you might be asking, who do I need to summon? Well, this video is for you. So stick around here. I have Falcon on the other end. How you doing, Falcon?
What's going on, Grind Force Gamers? Great to be here.
Heck yeah, man. I'm really excited for this video because we have had a lot of newer fighters come out since the last time we have done one of these Divination tier list videos, and I think it's pretty important because it's a lot of gems and a lot of resources to get these fighters. So who do we spend our time on? That's the question we're seeking to answer here, and I'm really excited to get it going on this. Falcon, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's jump right into it. We do, like you said, we have a lot of new units to look at. We have, I think I counted out the other day, I think we have 2 more units in the Divination pool than we do for the SS pool, the special summon. So it should be a pretty comparable video in terms of length and how many characters we have to talk about.
Yeah, I think I counted 19 there, so somewhere along those lines. So without further ado, let's start slotting some people. Shall we go from the top down or the bottom up? What do you want, Falcon?
We could do it kind of loosely in order of when the characters were released.
Oh, okay. Well, loosely. Okay, because we got to think about that a little bit. On the spot. I like it.
So our first 4 we know for sure. It was Bison, Rose, Jen, and Yuri.
Yep.
Those were our first Divination units.
Yep, for sure.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Yuri.
All right.
Talk about Yuri.
First is the worst.
First is the... Oh, man. Okay, so our tiers, our rows are going to be must-have S, A, B, and C, and D. We'll keep that same system as we had in our special summon tier list video. If you want to check that out, because I think that's a very pertinent list to check out too, then go to the description down below. Also, check out our Discord, where we actively talk about these lists. And Falcon, I even think that we got some good feedback on our special summon tier list video. Maybe we should have put Trendy Akuma a little higher, and we bore that out in our Discord, kind of talking with the crew out there. So if you want to be part of that crew, join up. We'll have that description down below, and we'd love to see you there. But enough with that. I think we need to talk about Yuri and why we're placing her so low.
All right, yeah. So Yuri she has been around since the beginning of the game. Initially, she was one of the top damage dealers that we had. She was a really powerful infernal unit that all of us were chasing. But as the game's gone on, just DPS usually doesn't cut it anymore. Usually these units have to be doing something specific, no matter how good her damage may be. Is it Vega good? No. Is it Viper good? No. So because she doesn't have anything else to really offer besides the damage end of things, she just ends up at this point in the game being pretty low.
Yeah, and I think even part of her kit wasn't working properly for a long time, and I think it still might not be working properly.
I've heard from some people that she has been cleaned up and fixed a little bit, but in terms of performance, she's still not quite doing it.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Oop, I realized I had the game up still. Let's get back to the video here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think Falcon, she just doesn't quite make the cut here, so... let's talk about Jen here, someone that you did build up. Wasn't he one of your first Divination SSS characters?
He was my very first Divination
Nice.
Triple S character. I got M Bison to SS first so that I could get that fighting spirit up, but then Jen was my first Triple S.
Very nice.
I think he has a really, really cool kit. He's one of the most unique characters. I don't necessarily regret having built him. I love what he does, and he has one of, if not the best, assist in the entire game. He puts a clone of himself back on the back line that absorbs all the damage, which is great for countering assassin characters and just nullifying some of that initial combo string that normally would maybe take one of your characters out or something. I don't know. He's got some cool things, but again, he is kind of focusing a little bit more on the damage, and he doesn't do enough of it to quite justify that.
Okay, so if we put Jen down in the C tier, would that be accurate, do you think?
Yes, I think you're right. I think Jen belongs in the C tier. If you do get him and you get him built, that assist is incredible. It's absolutely worth having around, but that obviously is not a big enough priority for you to pull for the character just for the assist. So he's going to end up being fairly low.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't pull for him at all in Divination. If you're in the Southeast Asian server and you're just kind of starting out, and you want to grab him up whenever you can, he's not a bad unit to get SS at least for that assist. But yeah, I agree with you. He's very low priority. So let's get into some more interesting characters like Bison. Let's talk about Bison because he kind of starts the whole divination game off, doesn't he? Uh, I think it even moved up to chapter 13 from chapter 15 when we started.
Interesting.
Yeah, they moved it up. So when I was replaying a second account, I noticed I was like, oh geez, I can get Bison like really quickly, like day two, you know. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so he's pretty awesome. He's kind of the start of it all. So where would we put him there, Falcon? Is he an A? Is he an S? Is he an SS? What do you think here?
If we have a must-have category, then he's going to be in there. If we have an SS or whatever the top is, he does still fit into that category. But this is interesting because for the first time, M. Bison is not a far away
Yeah.
advantage that he used to be. He used to just be this absolutely overpowering force that everybody had to have, and he
Yep.
was arguably the single most important unit in the game. Now he's still very, very important. He's in that top tier, absolutely. But it's cool to see him finally begin to get eclipsed by some of these other fighters in the different things that they do. So he's not always the best tank or the damage dealer or all the things that he used to be for us. There are now a lot of other fighters that can do it better.
Yeah, and I honestly find him a liability as a tank because it limits the team that I can put out there. Because if I'm putting together a team and Bison's on it, I don't want to use his combos. He's out there as a tank, or he's on like an anti Viper PvP lineup, in that third slot.
Sure.
But that's kind of how I use him. A lot of modes, he's not even on the field for me just because I have so many options at this point with the account as old as I have it. So, yeah, I still think he's very, very important because there are many squads that do use him. But yes, I think his importance has diminished over the course of the game. Still, I think he's probably a must pull for. I think
Yeah, absolutely.
every young account is going to get value from having a good Bison out there. I think he's part of the must-have group, so top SS category, and away we go. So
There we go.
away we go. I'm thinking let's talk about Rose then to round out that first initial batch of units.
Yeah, Rose is interesting. For someone that's been around for the longest time, I'm just now beginning to be able to use her because I've gotten her to triple S, and I need one more copy to get her to triple S plus two.
Yeah.
In fact, I should take just a quick second to make note here. There are only two divination units in the entire game that you can apply soul power to. There's M. Bison and Rose. But that's it. Those are the only two divination characters on which you can apply soul power at this time. Just an
Wow.
interesting little bit of trivia that does add to their value because of that.
Yeah, I do say so because it makes them PvP viable. Really, like if you don't have soul power out on the PvP field, it's like you're just not quite bringing it all to the table.
Exactly. You're playing with half a deck.
Playing with half the deck, so it's hyper important to have all those stats out there on PvP squads because those fights are over before they begin almost. So I'm thinking she's an S tier. What do you think about that, Falcon?
Uh, I was thinking probably an A tier.
A tier. Okay.
I
Okay.
think I think she's extremely good. She gives a lot of viability, but she's not like the superstar that she used to be.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Love it. So let's start with Vega.
Okay, yeah,
Old school Vega, not V Vega, not the new Vega, but old
right.
school Vega. So
Also not Camy Vega.
also not Camy Vega. Oh my gosh. They just we need more Vegas.
I'm waiting for the time when we can have a whole Vega team.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Now, when the game started, there were no Vegas. The whole time I was like, where is Vega? Where is Vega? Where is Sagat? The game, it didn't have a Sagat in. and finally we got a Vega in there. He was pretty good, but he always seemed kind of lackluster because the bleed mechanic wasn't quite there, like with regard to a full team. And I'm not really convinced it is there right now. So, where do you think he belongs within our tier list here?
I think right now he's somewhere in the middle, probably right in the B range.
Yeah, yep, I think so too.
I think he does have a lot of usability, particularly in the boss fights. But you're right, that bleed mechanic on which his kit is centered doesn't really have anyone else to back it up. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the team that he needs to shine. That it could still happen, but at this point, we've been waiting for that for quite a long time and haven't seen it. But he can put up some enormous numbers, especially on boss fights if you get him set up correctly.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a unit that takes some time to get working, but I think I'd rather build OG Rose at that point. That bleed mechanic really has some power there, but it's just
There's
not.
definitely a lot of potential.
Yeah, it's just not set up right with regard to Vega. Vega, I think, even will fall off more unless they release a companion character for him that kind of unlocks his potential with that bleed team. That would be my take on Vega original.
Yep, exactly. I think you nailed it right there.
Yeah. Uh,
Actually, we could kind of fold Trendy Camy into the same conversation a little bit. I think she's right there next to Vega in the B tier,
mm-hmm.
very comparable. She's another one who initially, it generated a lot of excitement. She was putting up some big boss numbers, but at this point, she's another unit that's been around long enough
Mm-hmm.
that the newer ones have eclipsed her.
Yeah, sad to say because I love some Trendy Cami out in my teams, but yeah, the Shock team just has not come to fruition when it comes to boss fights.
Exactly.
It just isn't there.
Yeah, just like the bleed mechanic that we were just talking about with Vega, we had the exact same situation with Trendy Camy where we never got that full shock team that we wanted.
Yeah.
And Trendy Dhalsim, we hoped might fill some of that gap, but he just didn't do it either. We just don't have a strong shock team. We want to be able to get like Poison in the mix properly and Trendy Camy to shine.
Yep.
Just haven't seen it yet.
Agreed. But someone like Athlete Chun-Li, a support character, not DPS, but a support character, I think ranks pretty darn high on our list.
Pretty dang high.
Yeah.
She's not a must-have, but I think on this list she is second only to Bison.
Yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think she brings a lot of value to the table with her kit. The ability to block projectiles, like basically negates other teams' MO, so to speak. For example, if the other team is linchpin is like a Sagat C3, and his C3 doesn't land because it's hitting Athlete Chung-Li's little sphere, that's a problem.
Yeah, it just shuts down an entire section of the enemy combo.
Yeah.
In PvP, when I get shut down by a team that's somewhat similar to mine, it's usually because their support is Athlete Chun-Li, and I'm just using, Elena or Summer Yang or someone.
Yep.
Athlete Chun-Li is just another step above these support characters. She is really, really good, and as the game's gone on, I think she's only gotten better.
Yeah,
which is really unusual.
I agree because, if the devs are going to release an OP character, well, all of a sudden projectiles might not be the way that they can go, because everybody's just going to put a counter Athlete Chung-Li team out there. It's really interesting. It's a wrinkle to the game, and she is the cause of it.
Yeah, and with all these V Vega comps being the number one powerhouse right now, Athlete Chun-Li can get in there and just shut some of those combos down, some of those ones that would wipe your whole team.
Yep, very important. So she's unique, and she deserves her spot up there. Second to Bison. Did you have her in the must-have? No, you said no. She's in the S.
I think she's just S. I wouldn't consider her a must-have. I think Bison's probably the only one that would fit that criteria here.
Yep. Okay. Well, that leaves us talking about. Let's go Summer Ibuki. So she wasn't the first trigger unit, but pretty darn close, I think.
We'd had like Gormagala Ken for sure, but
that's right.
That might have been like the only trigger at that point. And then Summer Ibuki came along, and she's a support trigger.
I think she's really interesting, and she certainly is on the field for a lot of people. So coming out on the tag in a lot of teams. She does a whole lot of damage, and she helps you with speed a little bit. But honestly, I wish her speed mechanic kind of kicked in a little earlier than it does. So she does have some use, but it does take a little bit for her to get going. But boy, when she does get going, she can put up some numbers. So she's really interesting, coming from like that support, speed, damage kind of unit. She's kind of unique, and I think she's really cool. So I think I would put her up there in the S category, right there, kind of not above Athlete Chun-Li.
Yeah, I agree. At the low end of the S category,
Yeah.
She didn't quite fall into teams the way that we expected her to, but she is a very powerful unit that, like you said, she does a little bit of everything. She's ramps up that speed. Granted, it takes some time to build up. She does end up in a lot of these comps because she's that trigger support. And unless you go all the way to special summon and you get Summer Elena, we don't have any trigger support. Summer Ibuki fills that role, and she gives speed, and she does a decent amount of damage. She's got a lot of things going on, and pretty great at all of them.
Yeah, when I'm like trying to think of a new team to put out there, she is often on the short list of people that I want to try. She has AoE trigger skills, guys. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty strong stuff. So, I think she definitely belongs up there in the S, up on that level. And then I think we're about to add to that level because we're about to talk about my main man, Sagat, one of my favorite units.
Yeah, start us off. Tell us about Sagat. That's good.
Well, when Sagat, first of all, when Sagat came out, I was really excited because I love the fighter Sagat. Like from Street Fighter 2 Turbo on, I've always loved Sagat. And he when he did come out, he's got some shock built into his kit, so I was like, oh yeah, there's my trendy Camy team right there. But slowly, I found many, 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 many other uses for him off that trendy Camy team, and he is now pretty much just peppered all over my entire account. From I use him in boss fights, I use him in PvP, I use him in PvE, I use him. Well, there's your three main modes right there.
Those are the options.
I use him everywhere, so his versatility is just off the charts. I think he's better than Summer Ibuki for that because, whereas Summer Ibuki is wanting to make it on a lot of those teams, Sagat is on a lot of those teams. So one of my strongest PvP teams, he is the C3. And I think I have Eva Ryu on that team. So he also allows for some versatility with trigger units coming into your teams because you can have him kind of out front soaking up a lot of the damage as either a tank or just behind a tank like Gokin or somebody else like that, So he's fantastic. I think I have him behind Zangief, or OG Zangief on one of my PvP teams, and he will forever remain there as far as I'm concerned. It's too much fun. It's awesome. Now he can get shut down by a good Athlete Chun-Li, so keep that in mind. That's why Athlete Chun-Li ranks so high on this list, guys. She's really, really strong situationally. Let's say you're in HWA and you're looking at your matchup and you see somebody's running a Sagat, you can pretty well bank that they're going to run the C3, and you should have your Athlete Chun-Li up against that team. So let's talk about Pharaoh Sagat briefly.
Oh, Pharaoh Sagat. Let's talk about him very briefly.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what kind of gimmick or how his gimmick is supposed to work out favorably for you. Maybe I just don't get it. But if that's the case, then no one else in the game gets it either because no one's using him.
Nope.
I don't know how those copies make it work.
And if you built him and are using him with great effect, please put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But until I hear from you, he's going to be in the D.
Yep, I think he's bottom of this list.
Bottom of the list. All right, well, moving on. Let's talk about which Yuri. So,
sure.
I use her assist skill all the time, by the way. Just saying. On assist, she gives a fighter lifesteal. And that's just really, really valuable. So, it's just that little bit of extra healing during the fight, and it could really make a difference. So
yeah, in addition to that, she's also an infernal character. So if you have like Bison on the field, for instance, and then you put Witch Yuri in an assist, now you've got two infernal, so you get that +10 speed boost, which I'm always thinking about for PvP matches.
Always, yeah, speed is king in PvP. So, where would you put her? I have her in the C's, but I I think she's going to be right around the C or B or
I think that she's probably the lower end of B.
lower end of B.
Um,
Okay.
because of her like resurrection period where she goes into the bloody wings or whatever it's called. She has a lot of survivability,
Okay.
but she's kind of like Bison in that you'll struggle a little bit to get her combos off because she'll be busy doing some trigger or reactive ability that keeps you from actively pushing her combo out. So she's kind of like Bison, where you might like end up losing your combo string because you just missed out because she was going into her cocoon or whatever she needed to do.
Kind of what you're referring to with Bison is if you use Bison C1, sometimes he's like exploding and his C1 won't go off,
Right.
and there goes your combo string.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a risky business if you're in the Bison C1 or Witch Yuri combo game there. I have her at SSS and I don't use her. So like
I do use her beyond just the assist.
hmm,
She will occasionally take the place as my C2 when I need someone a little bit tankier, but also does decent damage. She can fit that role.
nice. Okay, so you kind of B tier, kind of middle of the tier, but bottom of B tier.
Yeah,
It's
B toward the bottom of B tier.
got some nice utility there, but we don't need to spend much more time talking about her. What about Balrog? Interesting unit.
Balrog, yeah, he's one of the ones where at first when we were reading about his skills on paper, he looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then when it came to the release itself, he just never ended up really finding his slot. Nothing ever was the right team comp for him, and so he kind of ended up floating around. I've got him triple S, and I rarely use him, if
Mm,
ever.
okay. Okay. Yeah, he was also discounted upon release in the global version,
Hmm.
and so uh, I don't think I pulled for him. I think I pulled one copy of him and kind of stopped there. So yeah, if you say he's no good at SSS, I'm gonna tend to believe you there, Falcon, because I didn't do anything with him.
Yeah, he is a little on the tanky side, but the damage that you expect him to put out doesn't really happen, and he's not tanky enough to outdo our already great tanks like Zangief for OG Honda.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think he's probably right alongside Witch Yuri in the B tier on this one.
Okay. Would you put him ahead of Witch Yuri or behind Witch
I
Yuri?
think originally when we were like brainstorming this, I think we had him ahead, but as I'm thinking about it, I might actually put him one notch behind.
Yeah, because you're not
'Cause I
even.
actually use Witch Yuri
Yeah.
occasionally, and I really haven't. I really don't with Balrog. I don't use them.
Yeah, and his assist skill just it doesn't hit for you, does it?
Nothing special. No.
Nothing special. Fighter
It's
has
damage reduction, I believe.
Yep. 10% damage reduction at the start of battle for every 1 HP lost by the assisted fighter. They now gain more damage reduction. Um,
Okay. Yep.
that's it. So some damage reduction, a little damage reduction over time, but boo-hoo, Uh, enough boo-hoos to move on. So Diviner Rose. Now this is an interesting troop.
This is a very interesting troop. You and I kind of went back and forth while we were initially discussing this, and I needed you to kind of explain to me what she can do. So, how about you just go ahead and explain again
Oh
what it is that
goodness.
makes Diviner Rose pretty great?
Well, I she does some crit boosting for ball scores here, guys. So like, if you want to talk about like a kind of a boss unlocker, Diviner Rose is your deal, and it's her FS30, guys. So check that out real quick. I'll read it really fast, but upon triggering her Soul Reflux, so that's her passive skill. Upon triggering her passive, all allies get crit damage boosts of 12% until the battle ends, and it stacks up to 5 times. Essentially, you're getting a crap ton of crit boosting over time having her on the squad. So for boss fights, she kind of unlocks that second or third team that you're kind of working on. A great troop, can unlock some boss scores, but that's just about all she's going to be doing for you. The rest of her kit's like nice. It involves removing debuffs and adding debuffs to your team and to the enemy team. I kind of like
Yeah.
regular Rose a little bit better, but regular Rose doesn't like unlock a team for boss fights like Diviner Rose does. So Where?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because they're very different units, but I think in terms of ranking, they're right next to each other.
Yep.
Because Rose is very versatile. You can put normal Rose into a lot of different comps. She has C2 and C3, I believe, which actually makes her kind of a unique support character to have a C2 in there. Like Suit Able is another example, but that's a pretty recent one. Rose allows you to have a C2 support.
Yeah, great troop, great unit. Pull for her if you want some. I think you should be set up to pull for her if you've already built that first boss fighting team. You've built your V Vega team maybe, or an R Honda Fire Adon team, and you're looking to just get that third team to pop with something. She's gonna be a unit you're looking to pull, so she's pretty high up on our list because of that. Let's go with Trendy Dhalsim, a troop that you built and a troop that I had looked at building for my shock team, but never got around to building him. And you tell me that that's not so bad that I didn't build him.
Unfortunately, it's not so bad. I was really, really excited about Trendy Dhalsim. He seemed like he'd be the perfect fit to these shock teams that we've been trying to build. And he was able to pair into these fire teams because he works off of both. And of course, Dhalsim is one of my favorite characters. So I was just
Mm-hmm.
excited about him. I went all in on him. Triple S. I tried to slot him in a bunch of different places. He's not useless, to be sure. He has a lot of things that work in his favor, but usually there's someone else who does it better, and that's usually what these things come
Yeah.
down to. If there's someone else who does whatever aspect of things that they do well better, then you're going to have to go with a different unit. And in most cases, Trendy Dhalsim falls into that category where there's just someone else who does it better.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem you run into with units that are kind of all arounder units. They're just not the best at doing what you need them to be doing right now on that team. So
Hmm.
I think Trendy Dhalsim falls victim of that. He does a lot of things um, pretty well, but he's not the master of any one of those things. And if I'm building a team, I'm looking for the masters of whatever I'm trying to do. So I just don't think he quite hits it for me. So
I would probably put him at the very bottom end of B or top end of C.
okay, okay. I'll leave him at the. I'll put him up in B because you're saying you're using him. So let's say you're not using Balrog. Let's put him even ahead of Balrog there.
He's pretty on par with both of those half off units we talked about with Witch Yuri and Balrog. I would say all three of those are kind of in the same camp, same bundle.
We'll sandwich them together. Very nice. Okay. Moving on. I think Chief Viper is someone that is good to know. And when we were kind of meeting and talking about this video earlier, Falcon, I was doing some boss testing with Chief Viper. I threw Evil Ryu in there. Both of them are doing soul damage,
Hmm.
and I was getting some pretty decent boss scores at just SSS, not even at SSS 5 or anything, just straight SSS with all the vehicles, FS30, the whole bit. She was putting up some decent numbers for like a fourth tier boss team or even like a third tier boss team. It just ends up being strong, and because it's soul damage, you could put her with somebody like Eva Ryu, who is also doing soul damage, and just keep stacking that up. And I even put the EX move that boost soul damage on that squad too. And I don't know. I think I was just getting like solid numbers. Chief Viper being out in the game has allowed me to use my Eva Ryu in a boss fight where before I just wasn't using him, and it seemed so odd that I put so much time and effort
Mm.
into building Evil Ryu just not to use him on a boss in a boss meta. So Chief Viper is allowing me to do that, and that always feels better, you know.
Yeah, well, it's always about what you need. So anytime someone fills that slot of what it is you need in a certain comp or allows you to bring back, one of the fighters that you've been trying to slot in and you're able to pair them together, make something work. That's what it's all about, finding those compositions that
Yeah.
work.
Yep. And so for me on my account, she was a slam dunk. I think she could put her right around the Diviner Rose A tier somewhere in there. I think is a great home for her. You don't need her, but if she works for your account, then I say pull for her.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Next on our list is TOS Gen, and he's an interesting troop, guys.
He's very interesting. This is so basically he is the poor man's rich Honda.
Mm-hmm.
TOS Gen will allow you to build meter faster. not quite at the same level as Rich Honda, and he's not putting out those kind of damage numbers that Rich Honda is doing.
Yeah.
But as a divination character, it allows you to get that, at least some of that same meter build benefit that you would see from the special summon Rich Honda. And for that reason alone, he's kind of shot up, and people have started using him on boss fights in particular all the time. So he's not doing much else besides that, but we've seen already with Rich Honda how valuable that meter build can be, and just having someone in there to crank up the speed and get everyone else going out that much faster is almost more important than anything else out there.
Oh, for sure. Getting whatever stacks of whatever type of damage that you're trying to pull off in these boss fights faster.
Yeah, exactly.
It just leads to more damage output. So, and like Falcon was saying there, poor man's Richie Honda, which is kind of fun to say. But he's a poor man's version of Richie Honda. So let's say you're not in a position to pull for another special summon character, but a boss event is coming up, and you want to power up a team. Great, TOS Gen's gonna be able to do that for you. Kind of as a budget too. I think SS would be totally good enough to see a lot of return on investment for that character. Getting that FS 30 up is super important.
Yeah, the FS 30 is very important. The vehicles are a little bit less important. You'll miss out on some of the benefit, but you're right. You can just take them to SS and then save that extra 6 copies or whatever it is that you need, and while you build someone else just for that meter build. Because again, that's what he does. He's building your meter. That's why you're going to get him.
Yep.
There's a few other things going on with his kit, but the meter build is what you want.
Agreed. And so where would you slot him? If we can both agree that he's S tier, where would you put him in amongst our current S tiers?
Because the meter build is all he does, I would put him probably at the bottom of the S tier.
Okay. He's just another one of these characters where if you tell me, hey man, I really need a meter build character and I just don't have a lot of special summon tickets, I will point to him without blinking. He is he's the answer to that question. My goodness there, Falcon. Why would I ever need a wrestling Hugo?
I think the game's just trolling us at this point. They've seen some of our videos and seen how we've been crapping on Hugo, and now they've made him bigger and put spikes on his shoulders and stuff. And he's arguably just as bad as the original Hugo.
Yep. Gave him some war paint. I think he's Logan Paul's tag team partner, and I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. There are so many great tanks that you don't need to pull Divination for. Like, why are we doing this?
Neither of us have him, so we should put that out there first. And I should note that I have seen him on some boss fights.
Yep.
On some of the really high accounts. There are people who are using him. I personally don't know exactly what the benefit is to him over one of the other tanks like just Honda or Zangief or even Bison. But there are some people finding uses for him. So he's not bottom of the barrel, but I put him at the bottom of C.
The bottom of C. Okay, so I was even prepared to put him somewhere at the back of B. Like if we're saying that Balrog, a unit that we won't ever use, is up there at B.
Because we keep coming back to that, I wonder if maybe Balrog should be a C. Maybe that's the bigger problem here.
Well, I just demoted him, so...
Okay. He's officially demoted now. He's a C.
It's that easy, right, guys. It's that easy.
We have that power.
Okay, so now we're going to get into this last bucket. So Arcane Decapre, kind of a newer unit here. Kind of a cool unit, but... I don't know. I haven't tested her much myself. I don't see her anywhere on the leaderboards, but you and I were checking out her kit the other day, and it did have some interesting stuff going on there with this Judgment Flame mechanic. So that it kind of is a flame damage booster. However, didn't we discover that it only boosts her?
For that part of her kit, yes, I think you're right.
And that's all she's doing, is building Judgment Flame. That every single part of her kit is based off of this Judgment Flame stuff. And unfortunately, it just boosts her. If they had made it so that her skills or Judgment Flame boosted the team, she would be broken good. Like she would be OP good. They just didn't give her that in her kit. It just only affects her. I just don't think it's going to make the cut.
neither of us do have her, and she is a very new character, so it is entirely possible that we just haven't seen it come out yet, whatever it is that she can offer. She does have something that specifically attacks the person with the lowest HP percentage. So if you were in a situation where someone on the enemy team is close to death, you can guarantee hit them if you use Arcane Decapre's C1 and take them out.
There might be something there. You could put a team together to do something interesting with her. But the fact that she only buffs herself, I think she's right there alongside Vega in the B tier, kind of waiting for her team to unlock her. But there's potential there. Okay, Trendy Ryu. So he's another one of these units that has kind of a unique gimmick. There are only a couple fighters doing this damage sharing that he's bringing to the table. So for that reason, I chose to kind of passively build him in my Divination, and I have him at SS plus with FS 30, and I'm not quite using him on the field just yet. But I think that there's going to be a time where I'm like, you know what? I really want to use that damage sharing. So I've been passively building him, and I think he's going to end up being pretty decent just because he is unique. He's kind of the only one doing what he's doing, and honestly, I think he's doing it better than like E Honda has some damage sharing, and who do we regular Zangief.
E-Honda for sure has it a little bit, but nothing like this, where, this is Trendy Ryu's kit, he is going to just soak up the damage that is coming into your team. And in the right circumstances, this can make all the difference. Like if someone on the field, maybe a trigger unit or someone is getting targeted by an assassin and they keep dying on the first hit, then, Trendy Ryu just being on the field there all of a sudden is soaking up a bunch of this damage that's coming in, and that person might now survive.
Yeah, it kind of throws a wrinkle into somebody's plan. Like if somebody's plan, if you can see your matchup in PvP before you hit fight, you could slot Trendy Ryu in there and really screw up somebody's plans. So I think there's value there, and I'll get back to you guys more as time goes on and I get him built a little bit more. But I think he's somewhere in the A range,
I think so too. I think he's one to watch. So yeah, make sure you maybe do a video in a month or two or something when you've got it built up a little bit, and let us know how he's doing.
I 100% will do this. Okay, so stay tuned for that future video, guys. Trendy Ryu, coming your way. I know that this is the legendary version here, but Firecracker, I'm gonna pull her up on my screen here.
Yeah, so Firecracker Sakura is the brand new fighter, I believe Master Faction. So I just finished doing her trials. From the looks of it, she does seem to be a DPS unit and not much else. It's basically all about her building up those fireworks, and if she does, it allows her to fire off her C3 multiple times. Mm-hmm. And in the trials, cool. It is cool, and especially since it hits everybody, it's almost like a nuke, or it feels like it. If you have those fireworks built up. So the question, I guess, then becomes, and she just dropped like 2 days ago. We don't know much about her, guys. But the question then becomes, I think, how does she compare to your other DPS units? Because I'm gonna guess she's no Vega, I'm gonna guess.
Yep.
But how does she compare to someone like Viper or Dhalsim? Maybe is a better example, where we've got the C3 that hits everybody. How does she compare to those? Because that's what it's gonna come down to: is if we pull for her, who can she replace in a slot somewhere? What team was she going to fit into?
Yeah, and that's something you really need to weigh out with your DPS units, because you probably have more DPS units than support units. So if you're going to be pulling for Firecracker Sakura as a DPS unit, like, what's your plan for that DPS unit, I think, would be my next question. You're probably going to find yourself in a position where having another support or another tank might be a little more useful than another DPS. However, her FS 30, for example, if there's only one enemy left, the crit damage of this fighter's super combo and trigger skills will be increased by 100%. So
yeah, I saw that earlier too.
So like she could help you win a battle situationally. So there's some fun things happening that's not just damage with her, that I think should be noted. Yeah, I think she's gonna be really, really good. I wouldn't be any bit surprised if she's up in the S's as far as a unit. Oh wow. Yeah, I really do. I think she's gonna end up blowing up. I really do. But we don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, at this point, we just don't know. If I were to guess, I feel like she's probably going to be kind of on par with Chief Viper.
Okay, that's right where I put it.
In
right
that kind of
alongside.
range where a good damage unit, but not not one of the exceptional units or one of these units that's doing something hyper specialized.
Yeah. Yep. I think she's going to be a really, really nice, solid DPS for people. So let's put her here now. And again, these lists are ever changing, guys, because a new fighter gets released and it might make somebody else great. It might make somebody else not great. We'll keep putting these lists out for you guys as new fighters come out and keep the game fresh. But other than that, Falcon, that ends our little list of fighters. So how do you feel about the list?
I was just going to ask if you could give me a quick recap. Since I can't see your screen, can you run down for me what we've got?
Yeah, man, for sure. Okay, so on the top of the heap, we have Bison. He's kind of like the early game must-have. Kind of unlocks the game for a lot of people. Then in the S's, we have Athlete Chun-Li, Sagat, Summer Ibuki, TOS Gen.
Yep.
In the A's, we have OG Rose, Diviner Rose, Trendy Ryu, Firecracker Sakura, Chief Viper.
All right.
In the B's, we have Arcane Decapre, OG Vega, Trendy Camy, Witch Yuri, and Trendy Dhalsim.
Sounds good.
And then in C, we have Jen, Wrestler Hugo, Balrog. D, we have Yuri and Pharaoh Sagat. So
I think that's pretty solid, man. I feel good about that.
All right, let's run it. All right, guys. So this is where we land here at Grind Force Gaming with the Divination units. Again, the special summon units are going to be a lot stronger than these units generally. So check that tier list video out. But as far as like the top units in the game, aside from regular faction, this is it. This is what we're looking at. Please, if you disagree with the list, I'd love to hear about it in the comments, or you can join our Discord and tell us all about how you feel about these lists in the Discord, which you should join. The link will be in the description on the bottom there. I don't know, Falcon, anything else to add here?
Like Datskat said, make sure to sound off in the comments, join the Discord. A lot of why we do this is to just have discussions with other people, other gamers, and just talk about the games and characters that we love and kind of creating this gaming community. So make sure you join that. We'd love to see you on the Discord. Sound off down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to Grind Force Gaming, all that good stuff. It was a pleasure chat with you all today.
Oh, I loved it, man. And thank you, Falcon. I agree with everything you just said. Join that Discord, guys. But as it stands, that's it for Grind Force Gaming today. We would welcome you back for the next video here as soon as it drops. Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you next time. Peace.